Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're plugging in to explore the newly launched 2025 TVS iQube electric scooter lineup.
Yeah, there's quite a bit to unpack here.
Definitely. We've got some fascinating data, mostly from a recent YouTube video by PVJ Educational Auto Guru.
Right.
And our goal really is to understand these, well, significant price drops up to 25,000 and the increased range.
And what that means for you, the potential buyer.
Exactly. If you're thinking about an electric scooter, we'll be looking at the commentary, the on-screen specs, and some specific pricing from Nashik in India.
It's a bold move from TVS.
Yeah.
Cutting prices and boosting range, you don't see that every day.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Can they deliver on this without, cutting corners somewhere else? That's something we need to keep in mind.
Absolutely. This deep dive is all about trying to figure out the how behind it.
And what it signals for the whole electric scooter market.
Yeah, and for you, the consumer, is this a game changer?
Okay, let's start with the basics, the models. There are three main versions, right?
You've got the base iQube, then the iQS that adds a few features, and the top-end iQube ST.
And it seems like the battery and range are where the main differences lie.
Precisely. So let's start with the base iQube. There are actually two battery options mentioned for the base model.
Okay.
First, the 2.2 kWh battery. Now, this one used to give about 75 kilometers of range.
Right.
But now they're saying 94 kilometers. And the interesting part, the battery capacity itself, the 2.2 kWh, hasn't changed.
So, same size battery, more range. How?
Well, that's the big question. The video suggests maybe improvements in the BMS, the battery management system.
Software optimization. We've seen that before, but maybe not such a big leap.
Could be a more significant overhaul, or, like the video also speculates, maybe the battery cells themselves have higher energy density now.
Like getting more juice out of the same size container.
Exactly. More efficient. Plus, they've cut the charging time, too. 0 to 80% in under 45 minutes for this one.
Wow, that's quick. That's a real practical benefit.
Definitely. That efficiency boost is huge. Now, the base iQube also comes with a bigger battery option, a 3.5 kWh1.
Okay, and the range there?
The official IDC range is 145 kilometers. But, IDC figures can be optimistic.
Yeah, real world is always different.
The presenter actually shared a useful rule of thumb. He reckons about 35 kilometers of real range per kWh.
Okay, so 3.5 times 35. That's around 122 kilometers in the real world. Roughly.
Yeah, roughly. Which is, a very decent range for daily use.
And this version, the 3.5 kWh base model, it gets some style upgrades too. I saw something about colors.
It does. Single and dual tone options. Starlight blue beige, copper brown beige, celebration orange. Nice combinations.
And a pillion backrest, like on an Avenger motorcycle.
Plus dual tone seats. It definitely looks a bit more premium.
What about charging for this larger battery?
Takes a bit longer. About 4.5 hours to get to 80%. Makes sense, bigger battery.
Right, the trade-off for more range. Now, what about the iQube S? That also uses the 3.5 kWh battery, doesn't it?
It does. And interestingly, the IDC range is the same, 145 kilometers.
So why pay extra for the S? What's the difference?
Faster charging seems to be the main thing. Significantly faster.
How much faster?
0 to 80% in about 3 hours. So a full charge, probably around 4 hours.
Okay, that's a noticeable improvement over the base 4.5 hours to 80%. Could be worth it for some people.
Could be, yeah. If you need quick top-ups.
Yeah.
It also gets those dual tone colors like celebration orange.
And presumably some other minor feature bumps, though the video didn't detail them.
Probably. You'd expect something extra for the price difference, even if it's small.
Gotcha. Okay, let's move to the top dog, the iQube ST. This one packs a really big battery, 5.3 kWh.
Yeah, that's substantial. And the claimed range reflects that. IDC is 212 kilometers.
212, wow. Applying that 35 kWh rule again.
You're looking at maybe around 185 kilometers of real-world range. Still very impressive.
The video positions this directly against the Ola S1 Pro Plus, right?
It does. And the key point the presenter makes is that the iQube ST seems to be cheaper.
Cheaper and potentially more range, plus it has that pillion backrest, which the Ola apparently doesn't at a similar point.
Exactly. That backrest could be a deciding factor for people carrying passengers often.
And it keeps practical features like the backrest, nice colors. What about the motor?
It uses a BLDC hub motor. Pretty standard tech for this segment, reliable and cost-effective. Moto's right in the wheel hub.
Okay. Charging time for this big battery.
A bit longer again. 4 hours, 20 minutes to 80%. Maybe 5.5 hours for a full charge.
Still reasonable for that much range, I suppose.
But the price on the ST, That's where it gets really dramatic.
Yeah. What's the story there?
The presenter mentioned a huge drop in the on-road price, from around 2 lakh down to 1.70 lakh.
That's what? 25,000, maybe 30,000 less?
Something like that. A really significant cut.
So longer range than a key competitor, includes a backrest, and costs significantly less. That's quite the proposition.
On paper, absolutely. It makes the ST look very, very competitive.
Okay, let's zoom out a bit. Pricing and features across the board. Boot space seems consistent.
Yeah, 32 liters on all models mentioned. Decent storage.
And the starting price, that 94,000 figure, we need to be careful with that, right? That's not the final price you pay.
No, definitely not. That seems to be an effective price after some scheme discount.
Hmm.
The video gave specific on-road prices for Nashik, which helps.
Okay, what were those again?
So the base 2.2 kWh, that effective price is 94K, but the estimated on-road is more like 1,012,000. Includes tax, insurance, registration, all that stuff.
Right, always important to remember the on-road cost. And the others.
The 3.5 kWh base model is 1,024,000 on-road. The 3.5 kWh its S variant is 1,034,000.
So a 10,000 premium for the S, mainly for that faster charging.
Seems like it. And then the top ST model, the 5.3 kWh, the video quotes an ex-showroom price of 1,059,000.
Down from 1,085,000 previously, that confirms the big price drop.
It really is quite something. Which brings us back to the how. How did TVS pull this off? Price cuts and better specs.
Yeah, the presenter sounded almost baffled by it, too. It goes against the usual trend.
He offered some theories, didn't he? Like maybe serious BMS optimization.
Right, squeezing more range out electronically. Or maybe getting better, denser battery cells from suppliers.
Or perhaps switching suppliers altogether for cheaper cells.
Yeah,
Or finding efficiencies in their own manufacturing.
could be any or all of those, I guess. TVS hasn't exactly laid out their secret sauce.
No, it's mostly educated speculation based on the outcome. But the outcome itself is significant.
Especially when you compare it head-to-head, like the ST versus the Ola S1 Pro Plus, on paper based on IDC and price.
The TVS looks very strong, plus that backrest advantage the presenter kept mentioning.
But, and it's a big but, we always have to stress the difference between IDC range and real-world range.
Absolutely. That 35 kilometer per kWh rule is just a rough guide, but probably more realistic for planning your actual trips.
Okay, so let's try and sum this up. The 2025 TVS Iqube lineup looks like a much stronger offering now.
Definitely. Better value, more range, lower prices. Pretty compelling.
Features like the standard backrests on most models, the dual-tone colors, they add to the appeal too.
Yeah, it feels like a more complete package across the different price points.
But the big mystery remains. How did they manage the tech improvements alongside the price cuts? That suggests some interesting things happening behind the scenes at PVS.
It really does. And it leads to a broader thought for you, the listener. Well, when you see moves like this, big price adjustments, performance boosts, what does it signal for the future of electric scooters?
Are we hitting a point where they become truly mainstream, affordable, and practical for almost everyone?
Maybe. Are we on the cusp of, a major shift driven by this kind of competition?
And what else might we see? What other innovations are coming as everyone fights for market share? Faster charging, even longer range, different battery tech.
It's definitely something to ponder as you watch this market evolve, or if you're thinking about making the switch yourself.